Hey everybody, it is a good afternoon to you. Time to explore Think or Swim together. My name's Brent Moors, and we do this each week at this time. And today I want to actually explore some new features on Think or Swim, hot off the press, so to speak. So we're going to be doing that together, and we're also going to be helped out by Mr. Brett Crowther, who's helping us out in the chat today. Appreciate Brett. I've worked with Brett many years, and He's very knowledgeable on thinkorswim. So as you have questions between the two of us, we'll do our best to help you out. But before we get too far into this, let me just remind you, you can follow me on X if you're interested, at Brent Moors CS for some extra content there. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Trader Talks channel on YouTube so you don't miss important content there. Now, just remember that the information today is for general informational purposes only. It is not a recommendation of any security, chart pattern, or investment strategy. Options do carry a high level of risk and are not suitable for all investors. The paper money application, which we'll be using today, is for educational purposes only, and all investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Past performance of any security or strategy does not guarantee future results or success. Short options can be assigned at any time up to expiration, regardless of the in-the-money amount, and stop loss orders will not guarantee an execution at or near the activation price. So as I mentioned, I'm going to flip on over to the thinkorswim platform here. And they just had a new release of different features on thinkorswim. You know, one of the great things about thinkorswim is they're always updating it. It's different now than it was a year ago, than it was several months ago, you know. It's different, and it's really improved over the years, and I expect that to continue to do so. So if there's features on there that aren't there now, make sure you let us know when we have those surveys out there in the chat. That's a great place for feedback. They all get read, and I can't promise any time frames on exactly when new features will be added, but this is just an example. This latest release is an example of some of the features that we have here. But let me do this. Let me just show you, if you want to read back through some things later, if maybe you have to leave earlier, or I went through something that you didn't quite get and you want to see them. On the home page, a lot of us don't necessarily use the home page that much on thinkorswim, but if you go to the home screen there's this little area where it kind of scrolls through different things. Well, we're looking at the release notes here. If you look at the release notes and open those, and pull that up, then what you'll see are the release notes. And I was looking through some past ones as well, but you can see should load here. In any case, when you go to it, it should actually default to these release notes right here, November 23rd. And if you go through those, it will tell you about a lot of the features there, but you don't need to do it, because I'm here for you. That's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you some of the features that they've added. Some of them are great. Some of them are, you may decide to use, maybe not. They include some new studies on charts. We'll look at some of those new studies. And but let's talk about it, because one thing I want you to be aware of is how to use the various features on this website. And so I'm going to start over here on a watch list. I think a lot of you know you can customize these watch lists. You can do that here in the left, or if you go to the Market Watch page and go to quotes, you have watch lists here that you can view, and you can customize the columns that are on that watch list. So I'm just going to focus here on the left right now for this watch list, but just realize the same thing is true if you go to Market Watch. They've added some new columns. So I'm going to click on that little gear, and I'm going to click on Customize. And 3 new columns they've added here. And you can just, if you ever want to, you can scroll through these, they're alphabetical, but you can also just type in the search box up here. And if you do EXT, just type in EXT is sufficient there. These 3 are new ones. Extended session last, net change, extended session percent change. Okay, so I'm going to add those, and then I'm going to click on OK. By the way, you can add by clicking on them, and then click Add, or I just double click on them. That works as well. Click on OK. Now I've kind of crammed that over there. Let me actually get rid of that percentage change just to, helps if I do that right. Let's get rid of that percentage change just to give us a little more room. So I'm going to click on remove, click on OK. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. Just drag this over. And we can see after hours, extended hours trading. So the last price, that's the last price, extended hours. You know, because normally if I just pull up this chart of Coca-Cola, okay, that's the symbol I have right here. It's going to show this price even after the market closes. Now, normally I'm happy to be demonstrating while the market is open. This actual feature would probably have been better if we waited till market close to do this particular demonstration. But when the market is going after hours, you guys have heard of after hours trading or extended hours. If you just pull up a normal chart, you're not going to see that right here. It's going to show the last price for the day. But if you want to see extended hours pricing, you can do that right here. Extended hours last is the last price. Here's the extended hours net change, how much up or down for that, and the percentage change. What percentage does that represent? So you can do that, and often that's helpful, maybe extra helpful, when a company has earnings there. So just realize those are there. Something that is being added, functionality that is being added, is more and more stocks are going to be available to be traded 24/5 here on thinkorswim, so on Schwab. So that's a great thing. So that's the first feature I wanted to show you, those extra watch list columns. Let's move to another one. And this next one is going to be a little tricky because I'm going to have to change my kind of my resolution on this screen here for you to see this. Because I have this nice and big, and this shows up really nice and big on my other monitors, but this is actually a laptop I have, so it's kind of all scrunched together. But some of you, if you're looking at your platform, you're going to see a little plus sign up there. Have you noticed that little plus sign up there? I'm going to shrink my font down temporarily. We'll go back. So maybe, Bree, perhaps you could help me and zoom in right up there. First, I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to go to my application settings, and I'm going to go to my look and feel, and I'm going to go down to medium here just for a sec. And I know it's going to be kind of small, but do you see here, there's a little, it says enter symbol. This is a new feature. And depending on how small you have and how big a monitor, you can add several stocks up here. Let's say we put in Tesla. I'm going to put in Tesla. Boom, there we go. Now we have that quote for Tesla. And then I can go and you can add on the plus sign if you have room, and add several more if you have enough room, and just keep track of those quotes up there for various stocks that are of interest to you. And as you change the symbol over here, we'll do Microsoft, it's going to leave Tesla up there and everything else. Okay, so I can click on that and I can X that out if I want. That's what the plus sign is referring to up there though now. Okay, that's a new feature. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom back out to make my font a little bit easier for you. So I'm going to go to my look and feel again, and I'm going to go up to large, apply that, and that hopefully is a little bit easier for you to see there. Let me just double check chats while we go on, and we'll go on to our next feature here in just a sec. Looks like Brett is taking care of us there and that. And I don't think I've missed any, but let's go on to the next feature here. Price improvement display is another feature. So if I go to my order history, how do we get to order history? You go up to the upper left, go to monitor, and you can get to the order history if you go to account statement, right up there, account statement. You can go to order history. Now here's a history of orders. Now what I want you to notice is this. At the top of each of these columns, oh, actually this is, well, there's a couple things. There's columns here, and just like the watch list columns, you can add information that you want. You can add the columns of information that you want. And for that, again, you're going to the little gear. This is a little gear. You're going to click on that little gear. By the way, if you don't click on the gear, you can always right-click on the column header and click on Customize, and it does the same thing. Brings this up right here. But there is now a price improvement, okay, field if you want to add it. Now, I can add that. I'm going to double-click on that, add that. That's in there now. This is a paper money account, so actually there is no price improvement on this paper money account, but this price improvement column will show you any price improvement that you have. And what is price improvement anyway? Some of you are saying that right now. Brent, you showed me how to do the price improvement, but I don't know what price improvement is. Basically this, when you put an order in at a certain price, say you put an order in at, well, it doesn't matter. You put in a certain price, you may get filled exactly at that price. You may get filled in a little better price than that. And very often, Schwab will fill you at a better price than what you put in there, okay? And that's called price improvement. So that is, that's good. That's important. We want to be filled at more beneficial prices to you. And so you can kind of keep track of that. So there we go. Let's move on to the next feature. That's a, you know, not maybe the biggest feature there, but something to be aware of. Let's go back. I'm going to go back to account statements because we're going to stay in account statements. And let me just mention something else. On these account statements, this is what I was going to say before. When I look at this, do you see the column headers there? There's a challenge though. Okay, there is a challenge. And if I scroll up, those column headers, sorry, let me scroll up. They go away. Then when I'm looking down here, I'm going, well, what was this? I don't know. What was this column header right here? Or what does this column header mean? You don't see it anymore. They have what they've added on this page, sticky headers is what they call them. Okay? Sticky headers. And it's like a little anchor. And if you click on that, now look what happens when I scroll. Look at those column headers when I scroll. You see that? They stay put. They're sticky. So that's a great feature. Now it's not totally new in the sense that that was already available on other pages like this page right here. This was sticky headers was there before, but they've added it to other fields there as well. Okay, so that's I think that's a good feature to add. Hopefully that's a nice one there. Now the next feature is my favorite. Okay, drum roll. Some of these features, I will admit, I probably won't necessarily use that often, but that's why you have a platform with a bazillion things you can do on the platform. Let's be honest. There's a ton of different things, and it is not intended for you to use everything. But the things that I like may be stuff that you don't care about, and the things that you like, maybe it's stuff I don't care about there. Okay, let me go here. Let's go to charts there. Okay, I'm going to go to charts, and here's our charts. Now notice this. We have, we still have, well, excuse me, I have these quick links. If I want to go to ATR, bring up an ATR in this chart, boom, I click on ATR because I quick linked it. Okay. If I want to bring up relative strength, I just quick linked it there. Volume profile or a 10-day exponential moving average 30-day because I quick linked it. Or I want to change the time frame to a longer time frame, I just click on that. Or other features if I want on there. Okay? Now, how do you do that? Well, that has actually always been available, well, not always, but it's been available for a long time, but you were limited before to 7 slots. 7 slots. The good news is, and that was kind of frustrating to me because there was a lot of things I wanted to link. And they've expanded that. And I can't remember the exact total number now, but it's like 20 or 25 slots now that you can add in there, which is very helpful. And so let's go and let me show you how to add this and how to modify this list of stuff here. So first of all, if you don't have it at all, what you need to do is you go up to the chart settings right up there. You see that little gear up there? Click on that gear, and on here on the general tab, you got to be on the general tab, go to my tools, and the default is for it to be off. Okay, if it's off, you don't have anything. When you click on each chart, apply that. Let me just move this off. That's where you'll see them listed above. Okay, now you're not going to see these because you haven't created your own yet. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Or if you prefer, instead of on top of the chart as a separate window, you can go and click on single panel, click on apply. Okay, can't see it, but it popped up in my other screen. And now I have a screen of all these links. Now if I want to click on one of them, I can click on it and it changes it. Okay, so these are the features. Now I'll show you how to add them in just one sec, but let me also point out one more thing. And that is, they've added the ability to add on time frames. So if I want to switch on a 5-year time frame or a 1-year time frame or 6-month or whatever, that's an additional feature. So how do we add all these? Well, here's what I'm going to do. Let me go back, and I'm actually going to switch this back to on each chart. So let me click on my chart settings again. And I'm going to go to on each chart, apply there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little gear right here. And on this little gear, it shows the tools that I have. Now, I already have a bunch here. You may have none. But if you click on Add Button, it's going to say, what do you want to add? Well, I've added some different things. I've added, these are styles. I've added studies. So the styles are these, like it shows as like little candle bars. Studies, it's going to show as little flask there, or beakers, I guess, maybe, I don't know. Here's time frames and whatnot. So it adds, do you want to bring a drawing tool? Do you want to add on like a trend line tool and to just click on it? When you click on it, it'll pull it up and it adds it. Now, I don't want that, so I'm actually going to delete it, or maybe you add it and you want to name it something. You can name it there. So I'm going to delete that though. But you add what you want, click on done, and then it's going to show up there. Now, if you want to pin that, you can pin that right up here. Okay? Excuse me. So to me, this is a feature I use all the time, okay? I think it's a great feature, and it's even better now that they've added the capacity beyond 7 of these. Now, if you get too many up there, it kind of scrunches them down, but you can always click on this little arrow deal, and it will open it up, and you can see extra ones on there. All right, and the ability to add different time frames, I think, is great too. It's easy. Look, it's easier just to click up there than to go up here and click your time frame there. That's not the end of the world, or to go up to studies and go down to load study set and pick that. Just a lot easier, okay? So that's the next feature. Now, at the beginning, I kind of mentioned there are they've added a bunch of studies. So let's go and show those studies here. So let me just X out of that ATR study. And I'm going to add them in. So the first one I'll show you that they've just added in is called a stochastic distance oscillator. So I'm going to add that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare that to stochastic fast, which is a traditional oscillator that many of you are probably familiar with. So I'm going to hide the stochastic fast real quick. Let me apply this and move this. So this is what the stochastic distant oscillator is. Here's what it's pretty similar to stochastic. one thing I do like about it is it's a more simplified version of a stochastic indicator. It's kind of analogous to if you've used a MACD histogram versus a two-line MACD, how the MACD histogram is a little simpler. This is the stochastic distance oscillator. This is what the stochastic fast looks like. Hold on one sec. Let me add that there. There's a stochastic fast. Stochastic fast has two lines there, okay? Here's a stochastic. Now, it kind of looks pretty similar, doesn't it? The line goes up and down, a little different. So you're going to have to decide on that. On any of these studies that you're looking at, if you want to read about them, let me get rid of that stochastic fast there for a sec. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. Click on the X. If you go to that stochastic distance oscillator, there's a little question mark on this. Just click on the little question mark, and it's going to explain it to you. Now, let's say, for example, and there's a question in the chat, is there a place that helps understand info like ADX? Well, look at this. If I go to ADX, and ADX is a trending indicator, I can pull up ADX right here, and I can click on this little question mark right here on ADX. You see that? And it reads. Now, maybe you read this and go, well, that's not enough. I need more on ADX. That's fine. Of course, you can always Google it, but also you can check out and try out, go to our Trader Talks channel, go to the little search menu at the top of the page, and search for some of these things and see if we've done any webcasts on that right now there. So this is an example of where you can see a definition on those. But sometimes good old Google may be your best tool too as well on that. But there's an explanation on ADX. High ADX values may indicate that the market is trending. Okay, so there we go. All right, let me get out of that. So that's the first extra tool. So on these studies, what I would suggest is you just kind of play with them and see which ones you like. Look, we've got, I don't know how many, I've never counted them up. I don't know how many studies, and we're adding more. You're not going to use them all, but you can decide which ones you want. Here's another one. It's called the Ultimate Smoother Filter. Ultimate Smoother Filter. Let me move this off to the side. We're going to apply that on a chart. And notice on the chart, it looks a lot like a moving average. In fact, it's very, very similar to a moving average. Okay? It's very, very similar to a moving average. It does essentially the same thing. The point of moving averages, by the way, typically, is to kind of smooth the data around. And and one of the challenges with moving averages, it smooths it out, but it also can kind of be lag. The data can be kind of laggy. Okay, it can be kind of slow, and if you're just going off moving averages, maybe you're slow reacting versus the price action. Well, that's what this indicator is intended for, and so is to give you it's, in my mind, it's similar to a moving average, but you can go and you can click on the little gear there and you can change the length of it. It's similar to a relatively quick moving average at this 20 length, quicker than a 20-day moving average, but you can compare one to the other. Okay? So click on OK. Let me go back to that. That's called, just as a reminder, that's called the Ultimate Smoother Filter. Click on that little question mark. It's a technical indicator designed to smooth data and reduce this lag. Again, in my mind, it's very similar to a moving average. Let me cross that one off. That's a new one as well. There's two more, ultimate bands and ultimate channels. I'm going to throw those both on the chart at the same time because they're very similar. Let me click on OK. And do these remind you of something? To me, they look a lot like Bollinger Bands, and so or Kellner channels, or I guess check out those if you're interested. Those, again, are called ultimate bands and ultimate channels. And there's one more new indicator on here. Let me close that out. And it's called velocity and acceleration. Velocity and acceleration. I'm going to add that on there. We're going to apply that on there. And in my mind, when I first saw this, I'm like, that looks like a MACD to me. So, well, let's compare the two. All right, let's compare the two. And again, you'll just have to decide which one what indicators you like the best. And again, you can read the description on that. But here's a MACD. Here's the velocity and acceleration study. And you can probably see why I may have thought, oh, that looks a lot like a MACD to me. It does look a lot like a MACD there. So the signals are going to be fairly similar. Maybe you like one versus the other, but that is, that you can check out and see which one you like. All right. And just to reiterate something Brett put in the chat, especially for those of you who are watching on a recording, which is great. We're glad to have you watch. I don't care whether you're watching live or on a recording. I'm just glad you're here. Is we do have a getting started with technical analysis class where we go through a lot of different indicators. So if you're trying to want the ins and outs of using some of these, then make sure you check out some of those classes there. Okay. Jim says, where's the best place to see profit or loss on each order? Best place is to go here, I think. Here's we're on the monitor tab, activity and positions. Just make sure you have a PL open column. You can always add that if it's not there. To add it, go to the little gear, okay? Add PL open, that's your profit loss on each open order right now, okay? All right, let's move forward. Now, those are the new releases, okay? These are the brand new releases. Let's go back and just review some that are maybe a little bit older, but not, maybe, they've been around a little while, but they haven't been around a long time, okay? So one of the things that you can never do on thinkorswim is right-click on a study and remove the study. So you can remove the study just by right-clicking on that. You can hide, or you can remove it, but you can just hide it if you want. So if I just want to hide that, it's not totally gone, it's just hidden there, all right? And there you go. So, and let me right-click, and you can also remove, which gets rid of it. Technically, if I go to my studies up here, which is this flask, you'll see I got rid of the one. The other one I just have hidden, which is the little I with the slash through it. So I'll uncheck that I, and that study's back on there. Okay? So that's how you can hide the study and not just simply remove it. Another feature that is relatively new, it was in the August release, is the ability to scroll back up to, well, I need more data on here to do that. So I'm actually going to skip that one because I'd have to totally alter my screen here on that. But let's do this. Options positions on charts. That's a relatively new feature. It's been around a couple months now, but if you have a chart and you're looking at a stock or looking at an option, it used to be you could show your orders or your trades for stocks on charts, but not on options. Here's where you can adjust that. Go up to the gear, go up to where it says positions, and you can show for underline only, show for options only, or you can show all. Okay, let me click on apply show all, and notice, yes, I have a position on, this is an options position. This is a call, C for call. And you don't need to be an options trader, but if you're an options trader, if it is of interest to you, you may want to see. I have a call spread here. Now, if you're not an options trader, don't worry about the details of this, but that means I have two different legs here, and you can see those showing up on the chart there. Okay. So there's your options. There's your options positions on that. Again, that's been around a little while, but it is on the newer end of things here of what we're seeing. Remember, to get those, just click on the gear and you can show your positions. You got to change it right there. And remember, showing a position is different than showing an order as well. So you can show your orders there. Let's see. Oh, another thing, and this kind of goes along something that Jim mentioned earlier. Jim mentioned, hey, how do I find my profit or loss of an open position? That's great. Something that's newer, again, a couple months old, maybe 3 months old, is if you go up to account info, you can add a PL open, PL day. That never used to be the case there. We didn't have the choice to view your overall PL open. Now, my overall PL open here is going to match what my PL open is. Well, if I have different accounts here on that, but there's the total there. The sum total there should match right up there. There's my overall PL open. So you can see overall PL open about 7,500. PL day, not so great. Losing, that's the parentheses, losing about $2,300 here today on this. Additionally to that, if you go to customize gadget, you can also do, Sim Architect already did that. You can also add PL percent, PL year to date there. Okay? So you can add those. Remember, to add them, go to account info. If your account info isn't showing, click on plus, select a gadget. Okay? You can add any gadget by going to the plus in the far bottom left. Select a gadget. Accounting info is one of those default ones there, but maybe you've deleted it at some point. Click on account info. And then once you have account info up there, look to the right of account info, click on it, and customize it. And then you can add the PL open, PL day, PL year, etc. Sim Architect in the chat says, I always use the PL year as a reference of where I'm at. That's a great way to track your portfolio there. Okay. Gary says, is this paper money? These features should be available paper money or live money. I kind of have this weird setup right here as a coach here. This is paper money. This is not a real account, but it also is made to mimic a live trading platform. That way I can show you without using a real account. I can demonstrate all these things for you, because there are some features that are not available on paper money that are available on the Lite platform there. Okay, let's see. Next one. Oh, here's another one. Watch list columns. Let me clear here. And this would again apply to Market Watch as well. But if I go to customize, I'm going to get rid of those here. But there is a new column that some people have found fairly helpful, and it is, helps if I spell it right, an EBITDA column. Okay, so those of you may be interested. So EBITDA, what's EBITDA? EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Okay, so kind of a mouthful, right? So instead of saying what I just said, you just say EBITDA. And that's just a fundamental column that some traders do like to do like to see there. So it's, again, it's one of those things. Maybe you want it, maybe you don't, but it's available to you if it is something you want. Okay, now I'm going to check out, those are the new features that have come about in either the last few days, the first ones I showed you, or the last 2-3 months. But let me just check out the chat and make sure, I want to make sure we're not missing any questions there. So let's see. If you have any questions on anything I've gone through, just let me know. So question, how do you buy, sell options using hot buttons? So what you'd have to use the active trader tool there. Balu is, you use the active trader tool if you like. Alternatively, which I've done a session on active trading a few weeks ago. In fact, let me show you where you can actually see that. Additionally, when you're looking at these, if you like click on the ask price, you can confirm and send. There's always the option to auto send with the shift click that you can turn on. But let me show you on our thinkorswim, not our thinkorswim, our YouTube page here. Let me just show you how to subscribe and whatnot here. So if you're on YouTube, just go to YouTube, type in Trader Talks Schwab, pull that up, and it's going to give you some results. One of the results, probably near the top of the list, should say Trader Talk Schwab Coaching Webcast. This is the channel. Like, this is an individual webcast, but this is the channel. If you click on the channel, what you can do is it will give you the option, if you like. Let me just move here and move this over. And you can view the channel, and you can go to the playlists on the channel. When you click on the playlist, if you scroll down, you'll see one that says, it's near the bottom, I think, Exploring Thinkorswim. You can click on View Full Playlist there. And so you can see past sessions. Now, I just mentioned the active trader tools there, okay? I go through the active trader tools here. You just need to scroll down. It's number 5 on the list here. This webcast, maybe you missed the first part of this webcast or something, you want to see it, it will be posted to this playlist here. And it will be posted, I don't know exactly, it may get on there tonight. Likely it'll get on there tonight. If not, it'll be up there tomorrow. Okay. Sometimes if they have to do an edit or something, it takes a little bit longer on that. Okay. All right, everybody. I think I've gone through the new tools here on the thinkorswim platform. I do thank you very much for joining me today. I want to thank Brett for helping me out in the chat. And I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Make sure you subscribe to that Trader Talks channel. If you look in the bottom right portion of the page, there's a little subscribe button. If you haven't already subscribed, if you're already subscribed, don't click on that again. And we also, if you want to click like, that's wonderful as well. Let me just to finish up, I'll do one last thing just to review everybody. How do you add the tools to the top of the chart? You click on the gear, go to My Tools. You got to change that there to on each chart there. Okay? All right. Hope that helps you there. Everybody, have a wonderful rest of the day. This is the last no, it is not the last webcast of the day, excuse me. Coming up next, we have generating income in your portfolio. Make sure you check that out. And we will see you all same time next week. Bye-bye, everybody.